oftentimes when you're feeling down, sometimes you can't pinpoint the reason for it. You just don't feel right. You just feel down. And that's when it gets into the physical aspects oftentimes, what you're eating, how much sleep you're getting. That's a challenge that I have to face all the time, which is, am I getting enough sleep? If I can keep myself in bed, I would sleep more. But the challenge for me is to keep myself in bed. As soon as my head hits the pillow, I'm out. But between 5 and 6 hours later, I'm up. Now, again, if I stayed in bed, I could probably eventually go back to sleep. I've done that before. But oftentimes my mind starts to think of what I need to do or what I'd like to get done. And the fact that I enjoy what I do, next thing you know, man, I'm up and out of bed. But it's not all uncommon that sometimes I'll feel myself feeling negative about things, that I can tell my outlook is beginning to distort. And I ask myself, well, what is it? What exactly is it that's bothering me? And there's not really anything. I mean, sure, we all have stuff that bothers us. We all have situations that we're dealing with. Life is not perfect, but is that really why we feel the way that we feel? No, I think that's where, again, the chemical and physical and physiological issues come in. You haven't got enough sleep, or you not paying too close attention to what you're eating, right? Maybe you don't keep track of the amount of sugar that you're eating, or you eat too many processed foods, or you've been junk food binging. You're just not paying attention to what you eat. Or you're just not getting the kind of nutrients or vitamins or minerals that you need. Man, I tell you what, that's been revolutionary for me. I'm taking supplementally, minerals and certain vitamins and certain nutrients because I know that I may be deficient in some of these things, certain things like magnesium and zinc, for example. Zinc is a big one. You might feel like your strength is depleted. You might feel a little down. You might feel like you get tired all the time, and you're battling with certain things like could be diarrhea, could be skin issues. That oftentimes goes back to a deficiency of zinc. You might have muscle spasms. I remember every so often I'd wake up with this just radical Charlie horse in my leg, in my calf, and those things are excruciating. They come on quick. They leave relatively quick, but it'll wake you up out of a dead sleep. And I couldn't figure out what it was. The people tell me you're dehydrated or this or that. So I tried to drink enough water. It didn't make a difference until I realized it was a magnesium deficiency. As soon as I started taking the magnesium, never had it again. Completely went away. I've had skin stuff disappear because of taking trace minerals and that sort of stuff, because this stuff is not in our food, because it's not necessarily in our soil, and because we're not taking in enough fresh vegetables, and we're consuming things that deplete us of things that we need. For example, I saw a good friend post that he'd been dealing a lot with nightmares lately. And so he was asking for help. And so you got everybody telling him things from sleep with a fan on, take a bath before you go to sleep, drink warm milk, blah, blah, blah. It's not a sleep issue. It's a vitamin B1 deficiency, right? It's a vitamin B1 deficiency that directly related to nightmares. Now, what he doesn't realize is he's someone who plays out in the bars a lot, so he probably doesn't eat well. He's getting a little bit older, and so now these things are starting to take a toll on his life. So he's not curbing the sugar and the carbs. He's not getting enough vegetables every day, and so he's also probably drinking a lot, and that immediately goes to war and lowers his vitamin B1. Because these things manifest in things like nightmares or feeling bad, we tend to make them something other than they are, not realizing that, man, our emotions and our mental state is tied directly to our bodies, right? That's why you can be in a bad mood when you haven't eaten. That's where we get the idea of comfort food, because we relate our emotional and mental capacities and states to the way we feel physically. So I would encourage you, as a general rule, the two things that I would set into place is diet and exercise. You should be exercising regularly and vigorously, and you should be eating as well as you can. Now, when I say eating as well as you can, definitely get the sugars out of your life. Believe me, you can do it. Get the sugars out of your life. Tame that stuff. I would greatly reduce your intake of carbohydrates, and I would definitely up your intake of fresh vegetables. What do I mean by fresh vegetables? Well, not cooked stuff. For me, the easiest thing to do is to eat a ton of some sort of spring mix or half and half blend salad. I don't eat iceberg lettuce. There's no nutrients in iceberg lettuce. You might as well be eating paper. Okay, so some sort of spring mix, half and half blend, spinaches and these sorts of things. Eat something that has great nutritional value. It's going to have the minerals that you need, the potassium, the magnesium, the zinc, these sorts of things, as well as vitamins like vitamin C, vitamin A, etc. You can get these from fresh food, especially fresh vegetables. You need to up your intake of fresh vegetables. Now, some people are put off. They can't eat certain kinds of vegetables. So you pick what you want. There's other solutions. You can make certain shakes like out of kale or what have you. Some people, for example, can't eat broccoli or things like that. It upsets their digestion and bloats them and that sort of thing. So you find out what works for you. But fresh vegetables, some fruits you can eat. Get more water into your daily intake, but do something about that and do the best you can to exercise. Full body exercise, use weights, you can use treadmills, you can do some sort of aerobic type thing, move your body around. These things are really imperative. They're imperative to your overall well-being, your overall state of mind and emotion. Can you dig it? I hope you can.